And a very good evening to you, and welcome to Politics 101 from the beautiful country of Guyana. And we are on tonight. We are going to be discussing the biggest issue in our country at this hour, and that is the issue of the mayor of Georgetown. The mayor of Georgetown, along with former deputy mayor Sherrod Duncan, were passed through court today charged, among other things, with racial incitement and obstructing the traffic and so on. The mayor of Georgetown, the elected mayor of Georgetown, was hauled before the courts for stopping the central government from overstepping its boundaries. The central government agrees that it does not have the jurisdiction to remove people from Newmarket Street in front of the hospital, that jurisdiction lies with the mayor and town council. And the mayor, in the exercise of his right to peaceful, as they say, nonviolent protest, by laying down on the streets and preventing the vehicles sent there to carry out that demolition job, he was charged and brought before the court. But more than that, when the mayor wondered aloud what all right-thinking Guyanese, and certainly half of the electorate, has been asking, is there racial equity in Guyana? He was charged for racial incitement. One therefore can no longer, it seems, question the motive of government. Question the motive of government. Welcome to Politics 101. Let's get ready. We're going to have tonight Lincoln Lewis, our friend of this program, who has been on several times. He's going to be here to lend us his insights. We're also, since we have Lincoln, we are going to be talking about a couple of things on the labor front. This increase given to medical workers, something smells a little bit awful. We welcomed the increase, but we saw that the American ambassador also welcomed the increase. It's not usual for ambassadors to get into things like wage increase. We are glad that the ambassador's done so. But was it the Americans and other international forces who forced them to do it? And in the process of pushing something together, it seems as though some important categories of medical workers have been left out. The technical people, radiographers and so on, they have said they have been left out. How come you left them out? We understand that there are other categories of workers who have been left out. And then we understand that the money was not shared equitably, that the law down the wrong you go, the less you get. So they did something right. But here are my questions. Who forced them to do it? And because they were forced to do it, it was done in a slapdash way. You left out important sectors. You didn't put enough thought so that equity can get into it. So we're going to be talking about that. And then we hear they say they're going to give the teachers a raise, but they don't know when. So it is obvious that the teachers are an afterthought if you don't know when. You went to Monrepo Market, and within hours, you are sharing out money. But for the people who are teaching this country, you don't know when. And you haven't said whether you are going to decide how much they will get by sitting with the union. because we notice you gave GAU, you give the sugar workers, God bless them, you give them an 8%. Of course, their wages are much higher than public service wages. So when they get 8%, is a 8% of more than the public servants. God bless them. This is not a commentary on the sugar workers. God bless the sugar workers. We welcome a raise to the sugar workers, but you did so in negotiation with what? The sugar unions, the government and GAU Inc. When you give the the public servants 8%, you didn't do it with the PSU, GPSU. You haven't said whether you're going to sit down with the teachers union, but you did it with the sugar union. That is what the mayor is asking. Where is the racial equity? We know that sugar workers are predominantly Indian Guyanese. You can sit down with their unions. Public servants is predominantly African. You can't sit down with their union. You give them what you feel like give them. No. We are asking the questions. Lincoln is here, so he's the labor man. We're going to talk to him about some of that. Darren Wade, one of the busiest lawyers, is going to be here with us later. He's one of the lawyers for Mayor Hubert Singh and Sherrod Duncan. Welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to all of you. It was nice to meet some of you in person today. I was there in front of the court. As you all know by now, I'm in Guyana, and we'll be here for a few weeks. And went in front of the court to lend my solidarity on behalf of our party, the Working People's Alliance. We issue a statement today. And it was nice to meet some of you in person. Almost everyone who was out there watches Politics 101, and I imagine watches all the other programs. And some of you, we were able to take some pictures and these things. And some of you were saying it's glad to meet me in person. Well, it's more me being glad to meet you in person. I was very glad to meet those of you who come on to this program every evening to meet you in person. It's the other way around. It's those of us who call ourselves leaders or whatever else ourselves. And this Mr. Joyan from Barbados was here, is on tonight as usual, prompt. And I remember Joyan, I think it was last year, she was in Guyana and she was passing along the public road. We had a demonstration in Buxton and she came out of the car to meet us and take pictures and so on. It's always good that you engage with people, virtually, and then you get to meet them in person. It makes a difference. And it certainly made a difference for me today to meet those of you in person in front of the court today as we stood there giving solidarity to the mayor and our brother mayor and our brother Sherrod as they were hauled through the courts unjustly. Welcome to Politics 101 if you're in Guyana, if you're in Barbados, if you're in Georgetown, if you were out there today in front of the courts. A big up to you. I said last week that Christmas, we're going to enjoy it because it's traditional. But we're also not going to take our eyes off the prize because it's Christmas. Christ, whose birth we are celebrating, did not take his eyes off the prize because it's Christmas. We've got to celebrate, but at the same time, keep watch. And that's what we're going to be doing. Welcome to Politics 101. It was nice to see people out there, men and women. But it's always special when you see the women vendors, proclaiming their right to life, their right to make a living, and standing behind the mayor. It was nice to see our women raising their voices, their mothers, their sisters, their wives, their poor people. I understand they went in the dark of night, 2 o'clock last night or the night before, and removed those stalls. But those women were saying today, we shall not be moved. You can move the stalls, but we shall not be moved. People were calling to shut down the city. Are we listening? The lawyers were out there. Amanza, Roysdale Ford, God bless them, and Darren Wade. I saw AUC Anderson out there. The lawyers are out there working. Brother Aubrey was out there. Aubrey Norton, the opposition leader. Sister Valda was there, and myself, as I said, and Kedaki Amsterdam, we were there representing the WPA, showing our solidarity. I saw MP from East Bank. MP Flew Best was out there, and a couple of other activists were out there today. Young Wayne Mason from the People's National Congress and others, they were out there giving solidarity. But the people whose voices were loudest were those who feel it, who feels it, knows it. Welcome to Politics 101. David Hines here. We're going to continue to work because we are called upon to stand in between justice and injustice. When that mayor lay down on the streets, he was doing so in a great tradition. One of my leaders, one of my heroes, Walter Rodney, he said, if I should die, use my body as a barricade for the revolution. He used his body as a barricade for the revolution in his time. And the mayor, by laying down on that street, was using his body as a barricade for our modern revolution. The Calypsonian Black Stallion said, we've got a revolutionary mind. And when we revolute our mind by recognizing what we are up against, then we use our bodies as barricade for the revolution. That brother was doing that. And he's an Indian Guyanese brother, standing up for a cause that is mostly a cause of African Guyanese poor people. Poor women. I don't know their status. Many of them may be, some of them may be, a few of them may be single mothers. Most of them, I am sure that's their only form of income. And you're taking breath for them out in the name of order. Are we back to the plantation? Are we back to colonial rule? When we talk about working people, we're not talking just about employed people. I want to get this in, and Lincoln is here. When we talk about working people, workers, we are not just talking about employed people. They're unemployed workers. And these women, mostly women and men, are out there fending for themselves and their family. And this is what you do to them. The poet Martin Carter said, this is what you do to me. Cut out the sun, cut out the world. Stifle my breath and hope that I die. That's what these people are doing. Carter penned those words in 1952, 1953. 70 years later, you're trying to cut out their world, cut out the sun, darken the flower, stifle their breath, and hope that they die. These SOBs, they're talking about SOBs. They ought to be talking about SOBs. That's what we're dealing with, brutes. How can you at this Christmas time, look at those people, look at them. You're pushing them to go do bad things, to go feed themselves by doing dishonorable things. They are doing the honorable thing. They're applying their goods and service. My brother Keith Branch, in a meeting yesterday, said if these people did not have a product that was in demand at the hospital, they would not be in front of their selling. We've got to stand up, erect, stand up for the poor, stand up for the powerless. This country, George Lamin in 1980 said Guyana is a dangerous place. Lamin is dead. If he were to visit Guyana 42 years later today, he would say Guyana still is a more dangerous place than it was 40 years ago. No, I will not still my voice, says the poet Martin Carter. I will not still my voice. Those people were saying today, they will not still their voice. No, I will not still my voice. I have too much to claim. Too much to claim. Sisters and brothers, welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to you all tonight. We have to keep watch. Forbes Burnham would have said 60 years ago, will you watch with me one more night? You see, I like to quote from our own people. I don't have to agree with their politics. I want you all to know that our leaders and artists are philosophers and were philosophers. And we must use the product of their intellect to invigorate our struggle. Watch with me one more night. Sometimes we get impatient. Sometimes we want the revolution to happen overnight. But we must remember the longest rope has an end. Burnham said, watch with me one more night. And his brother in struggle back then, the Venerable Sidney King, now a UC Guyana, and he's going to be on next week. Guyana will be on this program next week. AUC Guyana, formerly Sidney King, the black man of Guyana in Swahili, he will be on next week. And he said to the colonial masters, I will not stand for this confounded nonsense. And the Guyanese people say, Sidney, put your mouth right. This confounded nonsense must stop. Those pieces of wisdom we want to use today. my sister and I would have said, what you did to the vendors, what you did to the vendors, what you did to the mayor, not in my name, not in my name, not in my name. And from Critchlow to Joseph Polidor, to the present generation of labor leaders, they will say all labor matters. And those poor vendors, they're part of the labor fraternity too. Welcome down to Politics 101. We're going to be talking tonight about a lot. And we are saying to you, you have a right to be righteously indignant. To be righteously indignant against a government that seems at all costs prepared to suck it to us. Welcome down to Politics 101. Beautiful to be able to ground today with lots of you. And I was so moved by those who came up to me and said, thanks, Dr. Hines, for what you do and what your brothers do. And as soon as they give the little small piece, I'm going to find a way to give a donation to your program. I was moved almost to tears. Moved almost to tears. Those of you who have contributed to our program and to the other programs, thank you so much. God said that we must say thank you for small mercies. Thank you for small mercies. Our Calypsonian poet, the mighty sparrow, Slinger Francisco, said you can make love on hungry belly. You can't make love on hungry belly. You cannot make love on hungry belly. Those women and men out there in front of the hospital and wherever they vend, they understand that philosophy that we can't make love on hungry belly. We can't make love on hungry belly. And for those of you who have translated that to our program, thank you so much. Thank you. I know I have a couple of you to thank who have come through overnight. I want to thank you profusely for helping our program. And you know, I use this program also to raise resources for causes. And now we're asking you in this Christmas season to give a little to the program itself. We're going to expand next year. And those of you who've given, we want to say thanks. I think we are assembled. The choir is ready. The servers are ready. The preacher is ready. And it's time to commence the service. Brother Lincoln. Brother Lincoln.
Hi, David.
Where have all the flowers gone?
Orphan and Barack burned them up.
That's what we're talking about. They want to kill the flowers. They want to kill those who make our country tick, who make our country walk, who make our country think. They want to kill the good flowers. But you have been in the valley toiling for decades. And I know when I said, you shall not allow them to kill all the flowers, that part of your task is to help those flowers to raise their heads again. Martin Carter, 1953, in that poem, "This is the dark time, my love," when he talks about flowers bending their heads in awful sorrow. They want to bend the heads of the flowers. Lincoln, let's start by talking about this moving of vendors. We have been through it. And now this government, which is talking about one Guyana, which is talking about love, which is talking about inclusivity, they're tearing poor people away from the scene of making a living. What do you make of that?
Thank you very much for inviting me, David. Thanks to the viewership to spend time with us this evening and listen to us regardless of the circumstance. Let me make this point very clear. The PPP is always good. They're always good at cliches. They're good at developing rhetorics that don't mean anything to them. They don't believe in these things. They just see them. Always what they have is a very good or very well oiled communication machinery to spit out what they want to spit out, but they don't believe in the things that they normally preach. Let me tell you this. The moving of the vendors has wider connotation. The government did not get up one morning and say they're going to move the vendors. It has to do with somebody around or some group around there from the private sector, which becomes the one of the arms of the PPP government. It is the one of the arms who decide that these people must move and to give further business to their friends and cohorts around there. They are going to do it because the people who are affected are not people who they see as willing allies in embracing the things that they want to do. Or they don't see them as their constituent. And because they don't see them that way, they will move to, they don't care what happened after. In the case of the mayor see every citizen within the boundaries of Georgetown as a constituent, a member of his constituent. And he went out there to defend them. He went out there to defend them, guided by the bylaws of the city of Georgetown. They went to move them, not guided by laws, but guided by greed and control. Look at it, when I say it's wider, look at how they behave when they're going and they build a street, repair a street or repair something. They walk in. They don't say anything to the city council. We are the government, so we will do it. We are not any longer in what you may call a budding dictatorship. We are in a dictatorship. And dictators have to be treated like dictators. These people are not going to talk with any group or leaders of any organization that don't prostrate themselves in front of them, who will not do what they will want them to do. And that is what is serious. And that is what we need to look at. How we are going to deal with this group. We have to treat them differently. When the mayor went out there, the mayor had the support of the people who were out there, and he was supporting them. We had a relationship that gelled very well. He was in support of them, and they were in support of him. Let me tell you about the PPP. The PPP will go after you, David Hines, and me, as black men, African men, who will stand up for rights and the rule of law. They will go after us. But they, you know how they see the Indian community? That they should not at any time question anything that they do. And because they see them that way, they will come while they will take a tractor to push us down. They will come with a caterpillar bulldozer to destroy the Indians. You see it in what happened here now. The mayor came out. You, David, Ben Scott, Burke, Leland Saul, a number of us, accuse them of discrimination. They try to put a couple of Africans to rebut. When they can't rebut, they come out themselves to do so. When the mayor came out and questioned their intent and asked about where the justice right, where the equality right, lies when it comes to the treatment of citizens, they see it as treasonable what he did. And that's the reason why they come with the bulldozer. They will not like anybody who physically look like them to question them. You see the hatred that Jack Hume and others have for Kemraj Ramjatan. You have to understand where we are, how these people, the animals we are dealing with, right? Well, I want to tell you, David, I do not believe that the mayor have erred in any way. I support every word that they put in. I believe in everything. Let me tell you something. What they're doing now confirms the perception in this society. What they're doing to the mayor confirms the perception. I read in the newspaper, one of the dailies, where a writer spoke about contracts. And he said the contracts now, while they're going to the Indian community, but they're talking primarily of the Muslim community. So when the man started to question it, when he raised, he's not the first person talking about it, talking about the perceived discrimination. When it comes to the African, we are not talking about anything perceived. We know that they're discriminated. But if you're in the Indian community, you know to talk about discrimination is that you are now talking of setting groups against each other. And they believe that both groups are their constituents and they can do what the hell they want to do with them. But one of the things that they have lost sight of, that same way as how you have poor people in the African community, you have poor people in the East Indian community. And it's only time when they're going to start to question them. We have to rally with the mayor. We have to intensify the struggle. They see it first and foremost that you want to move them from power. The question is not moving them from power. The question is that we want our share. And every group must get a share. be it racial group, be it the ethnic group, be it religious group, every citizen must have a share. This thing belongs to them. When they divide us, you know what they do? They cream the thing off. They throw trinkets at us. Give you 200,000 or 100,000. But let me tell you something. When they run to the Middle East, how much there, and they make the deals, how much they left there? They left plenty there. Okay? These men already get money that they're 5 generations down the road. Right? Can't get poor. They're not telling us. Hear what they're telling us. Hear what some of them are telling us. Let us talk about the Exxon contract. What are we getting from it? They start telling us that before, you know, when they were in opposition. They come now, and some of them still telling us, let me talk about the Exxon contract. We want to talk about what we're getting right now. How it can be spent, how it can be shared among us, what is there for each one of us. That is what is important. And what the mayor and others have done is to tell them that while we are talking that there's discrimination against the African community when it comes to the issue of sharing in the national pie, there is also some discrimination in the East Indian community, which make it threefold.
Lincoln Lewis, trade unionist, activist, giving his take on the development of the day. The mayor of Georgetown, he has raised more than a hornet's nest. Oh, you remember in August when Coffee 250 said, we are an emerging apartheid state. The government came down. Now the mayor is asking, is there some religious discrimination here? They've come down with a hammer. Are we seeing a trend that when you touch the raw spot of these people, they get mad and crazy? If the mayor did not touch a raw spot, why you don't let him alone? Why you call out the police on him? And then you call out the army on him. The mayor was not in army uniform. The mayor was in his civic capacity. He uttered those words in his civic capacity as mayor of Georgetown. Yet the army, without any due process, have decided to discipline the mayor. What kind of country are we living in? The top brass of the army and the police are there at the command of a government that is intent on using them to create mayhem among the population. I love every human being. I love the top brass of the army. But you all have acted in a shameful, and as my foreparents would say, a shameless manner. What principle of the army has the mayor violated by acting in his civic capacity in defense of poor people? Is that against the creed of the army? Exercising his right to free speech. questioning the motive of government. Is that against the creed of the army? Oh, I was reminded today in front of the court. The commander-in-chief called me a joker. Did the army sanction the commander-in-chief for behaving in a nasty, reckless manner? Double standards is the unkindest cut. The president can call people names. The commander-in-chief can call people names. But when a citizen questions his motive, the army and the police are ready to pounce on them. Shame on you all. You go home tonight. You went home last night. And your children ask you, Daddy, what did you do today? I sanctioned the mayor of Georgetown on the orders of political bosses. That's what you are going to tell your children. I spent today charging the mayor for standing up for poor people. Oh, you shameless human beings. You are people who we do not recognize in your uniforms of brutality. Oh, what a shame. We come from the same seed. Most of you are of African stock. Nothing in our journey from the shores of Africa to here have we inculcated the spirit of the devil. Oh, what shame have you brought on our race. We denounce you tonight. You men and perhaps women who have strayed from everything that we have fought for in this country. Say no to unjust demands. Say no to unjust orders. What has that brother done? Standing up for poor people, standing up for you who cannot stand up for yourself. You, the police officers, who cannot stand up for yourself, he was standing up for you. And you're going to allow people who do not have your interests at heart, who do not have the interest of your sons and your daughters, your brothers and your sisters at heart, to make you go against your conscience. Oh, you black African people, you have shamed us. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down and where we wept when we remembered Zion, you, by your sordid actions against a brother, have strayed from the principles that are enshrined in our act of witnessing by the rivers of Babylon. We denounce you. We denounce the top brass of the police. We denounce the top brass of the army. Your duty is not to those who give orders. Your duty is to protect. The least among us, to protect our collective dignity, service and protection. I want it to go loud and clear that the area is a group of black men and women who do not deserve our love. The wrath of the ancestors, the wrath of the ancestors is what you're courting. I cannot, in all conscience, sit by and see and watch black men taking orders to harass an Indian brother. An Indian brother. And I want this to go loud and clear to the Indian rights activists. That I, as a black man, cannot in all conscience stand up, stand by, and see my fellow black men denigrating an Indian brother. I am saying that the action against Mayor Ubraj Narayan, the action against him is because he's Indian. It's because he's an Indian who has associated himself with the plight and the cries of his African brethren. That government is using black men against him. You black men who stood by, who may have collaborated in the shooting, the killing of young Boston, of young Bacchus, of young Peter Headley, and now you are presiding over the lynching of an Indian brother. I am angry. Not in my name, not in the names of these more than 1,000 people here tonight who are within earshot of my voice. Not in their name. You do not represent blackness. Wherever we came out of the plantation with, we came out with our dignity. So said my brother Walter Rodney. We came out with our dignity. And you are selling that dignity for a mess of pottage. You're selling that dignity for what? For what? In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. So said Robert Nesta Marley. In the abundance of water, whatever they're giving you all will remain thirsty. You represent the worst in us, not the best. The worst in us. I pray for you that you will be visited by the ancestors who will turn you straight. But tonight, you get no love from me. No love, because you don't deserve it. Brother Lincoln, the government, I think, under pressure, has decided that it will give medical workers a raise in salary. In all your years of trade unionism, have you ever seen this kind of action by the government, but more than that, the ambassador of a powerful country welcoming wage increase. Have you ever seen that? And after you answer that, tell us what's in the matter that we are not seeing with our naked eyes.
What we're experiencing now in my many years of trade unionism is the first time I'm seeing it. You know, some get and some ain't get. Some of the medical workers receive an increase, but some were excluded from that increase. They work in the same institution, the same type of business, but well was them. Some. But we have to listen to these guys. When our finale stood up in the National Assembly and he talked about the 50%, he said we will give them 50%. He didn't say we'll negotiate 50%. These people believe that the workers in this country are the subjects and they can do as they like. We give you what you want. And if you question it, we don't give for you. If the leaders question anything, we don't talk with you. But the same men and women who can talk about democracy, you know. When they're in opposition, they tell you about all the laws and respecting laws and respecting this and that convention. I see a letter written by a statement from the foreign ministry referring to what the executive secretary of the Ipalaji have done at the UN. And they tell you about all the protocols and what have you, but they never address the issues that the lady raised. This is how dishonest these vagabonds are. They have decided that in this whole process here, we are going to single out GAU, which is the industrial arm of the PPP. And we are going to talk with GAU. We're going to arrange for the preparation of the documentation, and we're going to sign off with GAU, but we're not going to sign off with the PSU. You know what they're saying, the message they're sending to workers? If you leave the PSU and other unions and come with GAU, we're going to treat you differently. But how differently they will treat you? They will make the decisions, and what GAU will do? GAU will validate those decisions that are made by the government. We are in dangerous time. Workers got to begin to look at this life differently and this life with its government differently. We can't allow them. Everything that you do, from the cradle to the grave, from the womb to the tomb, politics determine it. And we have to become political in what we do. That's the only result for this. The response that we have to get is a political response. And this notion that people buying into the notion that these are political issues and the trade union shouldn't talk about them, we must get involved. We will get involved from the question of local government elections. Because bad roads, no water, poor lighting system. When the worker leaves the workplace, he has to go home and he got to be confronted with those type of things. So we got to start with them. We got to start the march with it. Don't let the PPP tell me what we must talk about and what we must do and how we must do it. Because these are an oppressive group of people. I made a point earlier, these men are rich men. These are the oligarchs of this country.
So, Lincoln, what would have caused sections of the legal practitioners to be left off this wage increase? From your experience, what would have caused that?
Let me put it this way. The legal practitioners.
I mean, the medical practitioners, sorry, not legal practitioners. The medical
what would have caused that?
What would have caused some of them to be left off from the list of medical people who got this raise?
Because they're not politically correct. That's
Who's
one.
not politically correct?
Yeah. Let me point out to you.
Yeah.
You and last year went in that hospital.
Not in a long time, but
a long
give
time.
Everything.
All right. You look at the amount of doctors. Look at the doctors. Look at the community of doctors. Look at the community of the technicians. Look at them. They are two different groups. Check it out.
But tell us what's the difference? Are you saying one group is of a certain ethnicity and another is of another ethnicity?
But it's a fact. That's what it is. That is just what it is. This guy's playing this game. Let me tell you something. You know, there's some serious things that are happening. You know, the cancer center is a private operation operating in the
I didn't know that.
Well, I'm telling you, the cancer center is a private operation run in the public hospital complex, the Georgetown Hospital complex. If you go in there, the first thing you gotta do, you gotta pay, you know. Any service there, you gotta pay. We got to understand, and who run it? Who won it? Think about it, man. David, this place going to Europe, and the people who are looking at that may contribute to it may not be those people. Or may let it, in fact, will not be those people. People are not fed up with them. These are a bunch of corrupt men and women who decide that what they're going to do, they are going to divide this society. When these people went to Parliament last week, and they moved the, what you call it, they moved the criteria for voting, and they say, everybody, you overseas or as long as you're on the list, you must be able to vote. You prepare these people, prepare the re-election again. They're good at it, you know. But they can turn around and tell the PNC that they are the riggers. You had the situation in Linden where Samai sat down on the FC seat for 5 years. And they said nothing was wrong with that. The only one where the then chief election officer was about to give a seat to the PPP, a seat from the opposition to the PPP until Vincent Alexander caught him, right? These people are good at this thing. What they're good to do, they can take their course and put it good on somebody else. This here is discrimination in another form. When they talk about the teachers, you know why they're giving the teachers? They're beginning to feed it around that so long Coretta McDonald is the general secretary, they will not be talking with the union of the GTU. What they intend to do is to impose an increase. And all of this are the machination of one man, that evil man in the office of the president there. That coward. He's a damn coward. He can only use state power to destroy and subdue people. When in the opposition, he does not. When in the opposition, he's like with the tail between the foot, like a lappy dog around the place. He is the man who decides that he's not going to deal with trade unions. He's not going to deal with the PSU. He's not going to deal with. You're not going to deal with PSU. You're not going to deal with the GTU. I'll tell you, the plan that you have for the stick that you take to beat Tam are the same stick will turn back and beat you. And that
you made reference there to Coretta McDonald. I saw Coretta today. I asked her whether there was any indication that they would, the government would meet with the union to work out this promised raise of pay. She said no. She's reading in the newspapers like everybody else that the government has promised this raise of pay. You have pointed out just now that they have singled out Coretta as the reason why they are not meeting with the union. And so it's a policy of punishing workers who have duly elected McDonald. She didn't elect herself, those workers elected her. So the government has decided it will punish workers for electing their own representatives while talking about democracy. What hypocrisy, Lincoln Lewis.
Well, I want to tell you, I want to tell you guys this, You asking why hypocrisy? Is the hypocrites you're dealing with, Tell me one thing that these people spoke about while in opposition, and they speak about governance. When they talk about governance, one thing they talk about that they did consistent to what they were saying in opposition. You show me. And if you show me one, I'm going to show you 20 things that they did that was wrong. You show me one good one, and I show you 20. These are the men and women that we're talking about. They don't care about anything. What they care about is power and who they can and have their hand on the national purse that they get in. Let me tell you, boy, David and viewers, let me make this point to you guys. You see this oil, this money from the oil and gas that they spending all they want, they got to come for it. And together we got all hands. And we got to say, oh, we must spend and we must get. We can't go there as all they want to tell us we must go every day to pick it Exxon or we fight Exxon about the contract and what have you. Let me tell you something. We have to pick the battles. We got to start with the low-hanging fruits. The money that they're getting, they must come for it and we must get some of it. And every community must receive from that. Don't allow them to get away with it. These people, remember one politician, one of the government was in opposition. He said the person win this election, will be government for a long time because we can get plenty of oil money. Well, they believe that they're going to buy out people. I want to tell them something. Yes, you're going to buy some people, but you're not going to buy me. Right? I am not for sale. And I will tell them, well, one day I understand something. That as poor as I be, and if I can walk the road in the community that I live with, tell them about the evil behavior, the things that they're doing, I'm going to do it. So God give me that strength to do so.
Lincoln Lewis there tonight talking on a range of issues that have to do have to do with the labor unions and the wages issue. Also talking about the government's brutal action in breaking down the stands of poor people, most of them black people, but poor people, making a living in front of the Georgetown Hospital. What do you expect those people to do? What do you expect those women to do now that you have removed them from their place of work, their place of earning an innocent living?
David,
Talking about the actions against
David, let me make a point. Let me make a point. You know what worried me? When you watch these people, these men who say they are bishop, they are men of cloth, they believe in helping people. They speak the word and they talk about the life and teaching of Christ. You know what it tells me? I'm an Anglican. I was baptized in the Anglican Church, and I was conformed in the Anglican Church. I sound like I'm not a religious person. When you see your shake your head. I baptized at St. Gabriel's at number 28. You hear me? And I was conformed at St. Albans at Bellatron. Right? Let me tell you something. When I watch at these men, and I listen to some of my comrades in these churches, and what they're doing, opening up the church to politicians to come in to say what they want to say and tell us what we want to do. I tell myself one thing, I don't stay in Anglican church. No matter if people leave, even if there will be one left in the congregation, I go stay here. Look what this man Edgil doing. Look at this man conduct. He invite defenders and the defenders walk with representation from the council. I will not meet with them. Who the hell he believe he is? What the hell is going on? These people don't want peace, you know. These people want to put this country into pieces. That's a serious situation. And we got to, one of the groups we got to talk with is the church. The church that doing this thing to us. The church that is allowing the clan to be subjugated. If you want to get A and B for yourself, go and get it. Don't carry brothers and sisters and sell them down the road for that. This thing got to change, man.
Lincoln Lewis.
David, I know you're still an Anglican. I know
yes. I was baptized and conformed and was an altar boy for 13 long years at St. Augustine Anglican Church in Buxton. Whenever I make it to worship, I worship there. I also visit other churches in the village and to worship with them. But I'm an Anglican, like you.
We got all the church and we got to revolutionize it.
Yes. Lincoln Lewis here, rounding off our week first. Lincoln, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us and sharing your wisdom and your perspective with us. We are all in this thing together because we are all we have. We're all we have. Professor his name escapes me now, who said, we are all we have. Professor Rex Nettleford, who says that, and our own Martin Carter said, here are monster, we are consumed. Like a jig shakes the loom, like a loom is spun the pattern. All are involved, all are consumed. Good night, my brother, and I'll see you shortly.
Thank you.
Lincoln Lewis there helping us tonight to make sense of the chaos, make sense of the injustice in our country. We continue to fight. We continue to mobilize. We continue to do what is right in the sight of our ancestors, in the sight of God, in the sight of the tradition of righteousness. We continue. We continue to stand up for ourselves. When we win our freedom, we'll cherish it most because we fought for it. I'll see you guys next week. Quayana will be on with us one of the days next week. He's still battling. He's still battling. And he'll be on to lend this perspective next week. We'll try to get the mayor to come on next week. So we have big programming next week. Thank you all so much for staying with us. Thank you all so much for giving us the kind of empowerment that we need to continue to do what we're doing. And those of you who are able, please contribute to our end of year fundraising drive. Until next week, God spare, God willing, I will see you all. Until then, keep the fight. Don't let up. Do not let up. Keep watch. Keep militant, because we are not the ones who are pushing our country to the edge. Those who have institutional power at their disposal are doing it. Keep the faith. Keep the faith.